Well, it's 6 o'clock. Let's call this meeting to order. City of North Kansas City, Missouri, special city council meeting, December 29, 2020. Call roll.
Councilmember Stewart.
Here.
Councilmember Clark.
Yes.
Councilmember Farr.
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember DeLong.
Yes.
Councilmember Saper.
Yes.
Councilmember Smith.
Yes.
Councilmember Tull. Councilmember Clevenger.
Yes, ma'am.
Number 3, side letter agreement with 18th and Swift LLC, extension of infrastructure commencement date to January 31st, 2021. Resolution number 20-079.
Thank you. 18th and Swift LLC has requested that the city extend the deadline for commencement of construction of the infrastructure work, as that term is generally referred to in the city's development agreement with them, from December 28th, 2020 to January 31st, 2021. By the city granting the extension of the deadline to commence infrastructure construction work on the project to January 31st, 18th and Swift LLC will not need immediate possession of the existing parking lot on the project site, and therefore is willing to grant to the city a new temporary license agreement. That's the next item on the city council agenda. So in order to allow for the extension that's requested by the developer, a side letter has been prepared for council consideration, and staff does recommend approval of that side letter agreement. Are there any questions? Councilmember Saper?
What happens if we don't grant that?
Well, if you don't grant it, the developer would have a couple of things it could do. It could take some nominal steps to begin commencement of the construction. It wouldn't involve any real steps, but it would probably meet the technical requirements. And then it would also almost certainly result in the city not being able to use that property as a parking lot for the next month.
Further, I walked by there today, and I'm not sure how many parking spaces are there, 180 or something?
128.
128. I counted 11 cars there. And with the COVID restrictions in place, I'm not surprised at that. And it doesn't look like that's going to get any better. In fact, it may get worse with more restrictions in the near future. We'll see about that. This is a project, as I said before, that keeps on giving. Unfortunately, we're the ones who always seem to be giving, and they seem to be taking. I don't know what their next request from us will be, but I'm sure that they're creative. They'll come up with something. So I'm opposed to this.
Councilmember Smith?
Yeah, during the day, it's not a heavily parked area, but in the evenings, it does fill up completely, even to the point where people are driving around, circling, looking for other places. So this is a pretty important agreement for our businesses and our citizens in that space. So I'd fully support it.
Any other questions or comments?
Move to approve.
Second.
Councilmember Stewart.
Yes.
Councilmember Clark.
Yes.
Councilmember Farr.
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember DeLong.
Yes.
Councilmember Saper.
No.
Councilmember Smith.
Yes.
Councilmember Clevenger.
Yes, ma'am.
6-1, motion carries. Number 4, temporary license agreement with 18th and Swift LLC. Bill number 7570, ordinance number 9367.
Thank you. The city currently has a temporary license agreement with 18th and Swift LLC for the parking lot located at 18th and Swift, which expires today. Inasmuch as the developer of the parking lot property is not ready to commence construction of the infrastructure on the property yet, the developer has indicated a willingness to allow the property to be used for public parking purposes for an extended period. So before the council for consideration is a new temporary license agreement beginning tomorrow. Either party may terminate the temporary license agreement by giving 2 days written notice to the other party. Staff recommends approval of the new temporary license agreement. Are there any questions?
I'll move for first reading.
Second.
Councilmember Stewart,
Yes.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember Farr,
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember DeLong,
Yes.
Councilmember Saper,
No.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Clevenger.
Yes, ma'am.
An ordinance adopting and approving a temporary license agreement by and between the City of North Kansas City, Missouri and 18th and Swift LLC for the temporary use of a certain parking lot in the possession of 18th and Swift LLC.
I move that bill number 7570
God
be put
dang
on
it.
second final reading and passes ordinance number 9367.
Second.
Councilmember Stewart,
Yes.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember Farr,
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember DeLong,
Yes.
Councilmember Saper,
No.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Clevenger.
Yes, ma'am.
6-1, motion carried. An ordinance adopting and approving a temporary license agreement by and between the City of North Kansas City, Missouri and 18th and Swift LLC for the temporary use of a certain parking lot in the possession of 18th and Swift LLC.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Move to
Move to
adjourn.
adjourn. Second.
Councilmember Stewart,
Yes.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember Farr,
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember DeLong,
Yes.
Councilmember Saper,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Clevenger.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, everyone.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.